Welcome to a chef called Rhonda. I'm Rhonda and this is my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to gently wilt arugula and to pair it with pasta and pine nuts and a tad of currants to offset the peppery flavor that the arugula offers. Grab your trusty wooden spoon. We'll all meet back in the kitchen while I show you how to make arugula, pignoli, and pasta, a weeknight meal. While I glove up, I just want to go over the ingredients with you. I'm going to use about a tablespoon of good quality olive oil to add our olive oil to our already warmed skillet. 1 tablespoon of good quality pignoli nuts. Can you see that? I'm going to toast the pignoli nuts, about a tablespoon and a half. I'm just going to let the olive oil come up to a nice warm sheen, and simultaneously the pine nuts will just ever so slightly toast. I'm going to add about a teaspoon and a half of salt, as I really want to draw out the flavor from A, the pine nuts, B, the arugula, and C, our secret ingredient, or Grandma's favorite, and she adds about a teaspoon and a half of a nice currant. And a currant is a baby raisin, also known as a sultana. I take my trusty wooden spoon. Just going to incorporate all 3 ingredients, the salt, the pine nut, and the currant, just until the currant plumps up ever so slightly. Now the heat is on a very medium low. Scale it up nice and close so you can see the salt, the pine nut, as well as the currant. And you can see that there's a little bit additional salt here to this recipe. The idea is to draw out as much flavor from the currant as well as the pine nut, so that it can wrap around the arugula. Now I'm using about 4.5 ounces. Traditionally I buy my arugula already washed and clean. A tip in choosing your arugula: if you're purchasing it fresh, you want to be certain that the leaves are not overgrown. If the arugula leaves are too big, it will be bitter and not peppery. You want to look for the leaves that are tiny in size. That is the proper way to purchase arugula. While these ingredients continue to render and the currants become plump, I just wanted to make mention of a couple of things here. My pasta, I cooked it al dente. I used about a half a pound. So a half a pound to 4 ounces of the fresh arugula is a perfect amount of pasta. You can try 3/4. I'm using spaghetti today. It's already rinsed and drained, and it's somewhat cooled. I have removed my skillet from the heat source. The next step in the process is to add our already cooked and drained spaghettini, and I'm just going to turn that out into our skillet. And our pine nuts are nice and toasty, and our currants are nice and plump. Using my trusty wooden spoon, I'm just going to incorporate all the pine nuts and currants right into the pasta. My skillet, although it's removed from the heat, and this is key because the arugula is next to be added, and toward that end, arugula wilts just as quickly as spinach, if not quicker. To turn out our arugula, or rocket, right into the spaghettini, the pine nuts, the currants, and the salt. As the skillet has retained a good heat, naturally the arugula will begin to wilt. Now, to remove your skillet from the heat, so when you go to add your arugula, it wilts, but it doesn't disintegrate. Can you see that? Now you can smell the pine nut, the currant, and the pepperiness from the arugula. Don't be shy here. Really work the arugula into the spaghetti like so. The key to this recipe really is removing the skillet from the heat source once you have toasted the pine nuts as well as the currants. I will serve it at room temperature. It will be a wonderful meal the whole family can enjoy. I wanted to take a moment and say many, many thanks for subscribing to A Chef Called Rhonda. It's always healthy, always delicious, and always fun. If you haven't already subscribed to A Chef Called Rhonda, please would you consider subscribing to A Chef Called Rhonda? Plated our arugula pasta with pine nuts and currants so that you can see just what it should look like. It's not overcooked, it's not over wilted. You can see the pine nuts are slightly toasted. You can see that the currants, or the sultana, is nice and plump, and you can see the sheen from the olive oil. And that's it, folks. It's simple as 1, 2, 3. I wanted to take this opportunity to say Many, many thanks for watching A Chef Called Rhonda. If you haven't subscribed to A Chef Called Rhonda, please would you consider subscribing to A Chef Called Rhonda? It's always healthy, always delicious, and always fun. Until we meet again, arrivederci, ciao, mangia, bravo!